Imagine waking up one day in a completely white hospital bed, surrounded by cold, featureless walls, only to suddenly realize that you cannot remember your own name. You cannot recall the faces of your children, and you have absolutely no idea where you came from. Worse yet, when you look in the mirror, you do not even recognize your own facial features. This terrifying and complete erasure of your identity was not caused by a horrific car accident or a sudden mental illness. Rather, it was meticulously and cold-bloodedly planned behind completely isolated locked doors as a fundamental part of a demonic secret experiment fully funded by the highest and most powerful intelligence agencies in the entire world. Welcome to the darkest and most terrifying side of modern human history, a side that is not taught in schools and is rarely mentioned in the news. This is where doctors who took an oath to protect lives transformed into ruthless executioners, and the minds of innocent humans became nothing more than cheap testing grounds, destroyed and reshaped without a single ounce of empathy. Today, we will not talk about urban legends passed down through generations or baseless internet rumors. Instead, we will dive deep with the utmost detailed accuracy into the official documents and public trials that exposed one of the most horrifying secret projects of the 20th century, the ultimate mind control initiative, specifically known in the black files as Subproject 68. Our official story, backed by irrefutable evidence, begins in the late 1950s, specifically within the corridors of the Allen Memorial Institute affiliated with Canada's McGill University. At that time, this prestigious institute was directed by a renowned and highly influential psychiatrist named Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron. Cameron possessed a highly bizarre, complex, and incredibly cruel theory. He confidently believed that a diseased or disturbed human mind could be repaired and completely reprogrammed in the exact same way one would format a computer hard drive or erase a magnetic tape to record over it anew. This doctor called this highly complex and invasive process psychic driving and patterning. The core idea sounded like horrifying science fiction. It relied simply on completely destroying the patient's current personality, wiping away all of their accumulated memories, dismantling all of their emotional bonds, and then rebuilding them from absolute scratch with a completely new personality chosen and shaped by the doctor according to his own desires. But the pressing question remains, how could any doctor, regardless of his vast knowledge, completely erase a human mind with all its past and complex emotions? Here, at this defining moment, the psychiatric hospital, which was supposed to be a safe haven for healing, transformed into a horrific secret torture chamber whose brutality surpassed humanity's worst nightmares. During that very same historical period, the American Central Intelligence Agency was obsessed and fiercely searching for an effective secret weapon for mind control, a weapon that could be used to seamlessly interrogate spies and extract forced confessions during the era of maximum geopolitical tension known as the Cold War. When the detailed reports of Dr. Cameron's extreme theories reached the agency's offices, they immediately saw in him the perfect tool to achieve their dark goals. They decided to fully fund and support him in absolute secrecy, placing his controversial work under the dark umbrella of a massive top-secret program known as Project MK-Ultra, and they assigned his specific set of experiments the highly classified codename Subproject 68. Dr. Cameron immediately began applying his brutal experiments on real, unsuspecting patients who had come to the hospital simply seeking basic treatment for common issues such as mild depression, temporary anxiety, or even postpartum emotional struggles. These vulnerable patients had absolutely no idea, not even the slightest suspicion, that they had just stepped into a literal living hell from which they would never emerge the same. Cameron followed a truly terrifying and systematic protocol. He would begin by placing the patients into a state of continuous, deep artificial coma using massive, concentrated doses of heavy sedatives, powerful hallucinogens, and intense chemical substances. This chemically induced coma did not last for mere hours. It sometimes extended for weeks or even consecutive months without any interruption whatsoever, leaving them in a state of absolute physical weakness and total mental vulnerability. While these unfortunate patients were lying completely unconscious in those dark, locked, and freezing rooms, Cameron would swiftly move to the second and much more brutal phase of the experiment. He subjected their weakened brains to extremely high-voltage electroshock therapy, shocks that exceeded the medically permissible safety limits by more than 30 times. This agonizing electrical torture was repeated multiple times a single day, effectively burning their neural pathways and physically destroying their long-term memory centers. And the horrific ordeal did not stop there. Dr. Cameron also invented and designed special soundproof helmets that were tightly strapped onto the patients' heads during their periods of partial awakening. These traumatic helmets would continuously play pre-recorded audio messages through the earphones, repeating them millions of times consecutively at an aggressively loud volume. These messages contained deeply destructive phrases such as "you are a terrible person," or "you are in constant danger," or "absolutely no one cares about you." The ultimate and sole objective of all this relentless psychological and physical torment was to completely break the human will, shatter the patient's pride, and force them into total submission so they would become a blank slate ready to be rewritten. One of the deeply tragic victims of this monstrous project was a woman named Velma Orlico, who checked into the hospital seeking help for minor postpartum anxiety. When she finally emerged after enduring a prolonged period of this unimaginable hell, she had lost absolutely everything. She forgot how to speak properly and form coherent sentences. She completely forgot that she was a married woman with a loving family, and she would spend her days weeping uncontrollably in the corner of a room, behaving and even wetting herself like a helpless toddler no more than 3 years old. Her entire life and the life of her family was irreparably destroyed. These atrocities continued unhindered for years until 1964, when the experiments came to an abrupt and sudden halt. After suspicions and dark rumors began swirling around the Institute, and the intelligence agency felt the imminent danger of the operation being exposed to the general public. In the early 1970s, thanks to the relentless efforts of investigative journalists and official inquiry commissions, the shocking classified documents finally leaked to the public, and top-ranking officials were strictly summoned to testify before the U.S. Congress. Although the agency desperately attempted to destroy and burn the vast majority of the files and hard evidence, a few surviving papers, combined with the harrowing testimonies of the surviving victims, revealed the complete, ugly truth to a profoundly shocked world. The government was later forced after long and grueling legal battles to pay massive financial compensations to the surviving victims and their devastated families, but no amount of money could ever compensate for minds and identities that had been shattered forever. Subproject 68 finally ended, and the hospital closed its dark doors that had witnessed the most heinous forms of torture. But it left behind definitive proof and a harsh historical lesson proving that true horror in this world does not come from ghosts or mythical monsters, but from human beings themselves, from those who possess absolute, unchecked power and operate in the shadows behind the curtain. After listening to these terrifying and meticulously documented details, and after we have fully exposed this dark chapter of modern history together, please share your thoughts and opinions with me in the comments section below. If Project MK Ultra had actually succeeded in achieving its ultimate goals of complete mind control without ever being exposed and stopped, what do you think the shape of our world and our societies would truly look like today? Would we have become nothing more than mindless pawns with no free will? I eagerly await reading your answers and engaging in discussions in the comments. And please do not forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming and even more mysterious stories.